So when you're at a stage where you grow your business and you kind of grow yourself out of Venmo and cash, and all of these small transactions, and you want your technicians to collect payments in the field, that's where iWallet comes in to help you grow your business and kind of take it to the next level.
Welcome to the Painter Growth Podcast, where we help you scale your painting company in record time. Join us as we explore sales, marketing, hiring, finances, leadership, and more, everything that you need to know to scale and grow your painting business. I hope you enjoy and subscribe. What's up, everybody? Michael Hickman here, founder of paintergrowth.com, and you're listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. And I'm here, an exciting episode for you today, guys. I'm here with the founder and CEO of a company called iWallet, Mr. Jim Kolchin. What's up, Jim?
Hey guys, good to be here.
Yeah, I'm stoked you're here. So why don't you just give the viewers, we're going to jump into it. We're going to jump into the origin story. We're going to talk about the value of payment processing on site, how that can increase so many things in your business. If you're not taking, payments on site, credit cards, you need to be. So why don't you just give the listeners a quick 30-second overview. What is iWallet?
So iWallet is an app that sits on your phone or your tablet, and this is a new way to take payments in the field that saves companies a lot of time and money. It was designed specifically for contractors, by Contractor, and we can jump into the story of how it was created a bit later. But this is kind of the quick elevator pitch.
What makes it different than taking a payment with Stripe or Venmo
or Square, right?
Square. Square.
People compare. Yeah. So we just met at the PCA show in Colorado Springs, and a lot of people that I talk to over there use companies that you just named. And the main difference is that we have 4 products right now, and we're adding more. But the main one that's kind of leading the pack is checks processing. So there is no easy way right now to take check payments. And as you know, in the home service industry, probably about 50% of payments are done by check. There are some industries that we see in roofing, for example, 90% of payments are done by check. In HVAC and plumbing, it's more like 30%. But checks, there are a lot of checks out there. And our ICP, what we call Ideal Customer Profile, is a company with 3 or more crews. In the painting world, you call them crews, right? In plumbing, HVAC, you call them technicians or trucks. So when you're at a stage where you grow your business and you kind of grow yourself out of Venmo and cash, and all of these small transactions, and you want your technicians to collect payments in the field, that's where iWallet comes in to help you grow your business and kind of take it to the next level, and at the same time save you a lot of time and money.
Okay, cool. No, that's interesting. So I mean, I'm in Canada, and one thing that we have in Canada, I don't know if you have it, we have mobile check deposit. You seen that?
Yeah. That's what we have here too. Yeah.
Okay.
So mobile check deposit, and I know in Canada it's spelled differently, right? You spell check.
I think we changed. I think we're back to CHECK. I think it's
okay, good. So unfortunately, we don't have checks processing in Canada yet. But in the U.S., what you have right now is majority of the banks would allow you to deposit checks as a personal account, right? So if you're one-man show, you can just deposit checks in the field or at home, and it's not a problem for you. But as you grow your business, when you have a lot of checks, usually what we see, and we go to a lot of trade shows, I just mentioned before the show, we go to about 50 shows a year right now. And 90% of the companies that we speak with, they have their technicians bring checks into the office. A lot of the company owners struggle with even getting technicians back into the office because all of those remote technicians don't want to drive just to drop off a check, right? And then once you get those checks in the office, somebody would go to the bank, or they would have a little machine, that we have those little electronic machines, scanners. I used to have one like that in my office, and that's how you would deposit checks. But the problem with doing it this way is your accounts receivables is stretched, right? You get lost and stolen checks. Some of the technicians would wash their pants, and the check would be washed, and then the customer would be calling like, "Hey, where's my check?" And then you have to call the customer and be really embarrassed by telling them that, "Hey, we lost
So
your check."
basically, the big difference here is that you can assign your employees to deposit checks for you.
Correct.
Yeah, that's
You
super
get
convenient.
correct. Yeah, you get
Without
those
giving
checks
away your
deposited.
banking logins.
That's right. That's right. There's an easy way to take checks in the field, and we make money through credit card processing, and we usually give away checks for free.
Okay.
So when you compare it to the traditional way, it actually costs you about $5 to $20 per check to deposit the check, depending on the size, the average ticket, and how you do it. But a lot of people think that, well, checks processing is free because I can just take it to the bank. Well, it's not free if you think about all of the time that you invest into depositing of that check. And in our app, we've actually designed a new system. Well, we have a patent for it. Our team came up with this idea where you can take a picture of just the front side image of the check. Typically on mobile, you need both the front and the back, but we can detect the back side from the image of the front and endorse it automatically. So it makes it really easy. You take a picture of the front right there in front of a customer. We run it in real time against a database of bad check writers, and you can just give the check back to a customer. You don't even need to bring it to the office. So that improves companies' cash flow, better consumer experience, right? Consumers don't have to worry about checks being lost or stolen. It's a peace of mind to consumers. Ultimately it saves a lot of time.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. So, I mean, how did you get into this? Tell me about your trades experience. You said you ran a trades business for. What was that about?
Yeah. So I'm an immigrant. Came to this country, to the U.S. In 2002 with $200 in my pocket, and started my first business. I kind of worked all kinds of odd jobs. Made $10,000 my first summer, and then started my first business, appliance repair business, in 2003. Then it became an HVAC business, and I grew that company. And as a contractor, I've always had this pain point with payments. I always wanted to solve this fee problem and checks problem. Like, why is it so messed up? I've always thought to myself, how come nobody's solving it? And after waiting for basically, over 15 years and having this pain, I finally decided to build something for the industry, and it took off. Lots of other companies found it useful, and we're still growing like 10 to 20% every month. And we started in the appliance repair and HVAC industries. Then we added plumbing. We just went to KBIS in Las Vegas, called Kitchen and Bath Show. Recently added painters as well. I didn't realize that painting industry is so tight knit, and it was a lot of fun in Colorado Springs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the expo was a blast. So you came to the States in 2002. You did some odd jobs, and you started an HVAC company. What was that like? What was your experience running your HVAC business?
It was extremely difficult. When you this transition from kind of the one-man show to hiring people, that was extreme. I couldn't let it go. I couldn't trust a dispatcher to take my calls because I felt like they're gonna mess it up, and that was probably like the hardest part. But even before that, I think it was sales. To learn how to sell a job, that was really difficult for me, especially coming from where I came from, where selling was prohibited. Back in the in the Soviet Union times, you could go to jail for selling something, right? And I always felt like it's against my nature to sell it, and that was probably the first thing, is to learn to sell, and then the next thing is to learn to grow. I guess that's what you guys do at the show here.
Yeah. So you start this business, which you realize small business and trades is all selling.
Right.
Yeah, from a culture of no selling. And then you identify a pain point in the market that you decide to transition to. So, like, what was the moment? Do you remember like a point in time where you remember like, oh man, this is a problem I have to solve?
As far as in the business,
Yeah, like was there a certain time where it's just like, oh, this problem is like I've got to tackle it?
the tons of problems like that, right? One of my biggest problems was probably not having an office. And back in the early 2000s, people would judge you like, "Hey, do you have an office?" And I've actually always been remote, and office was always an overhead for me. And so I kind of had this decision early on in my career that I'm not going to have an office. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I'm just going to save cash. Right. Another one is, well, back in the day, IP telephony was not well developed. There were some companies that would do it, but it was really difficult. There was no Twilio back in the day. You couldn't set up an easy way to take phone calls. So that was another problem. Registering a corporation by itself. I remember using LegalZoom. Plug for them. A great company, been around for a while. I don't get any bonuses for that from them, but they made it really easy to register my first F corporation, what we call it in the States, right, for like $200. But they were the ones that set me up with Bank of America Merchant Payment Services, and it was then that I realized that I'm being taken advantage of. Like, how come these guys are charging me, almost 4 or 5% processing fees and not doing anything?
Plus a monthly $200 a month.
Right, and they keep raising those fees,
Yeah.
every once in a while without me even knowing that. And that's when I started looking into this whole kitchen of credit card processing. Like, what's interchange? Why is it all different? Why there are different cards and card present, card non-present, and why all of my cards are non-qualified when they sold me a qualified business. I was supposed to be at 1.5%, but all of the cards for some reason are not qualified. And yeah, it's been an interesting journey. One other thing I can share is I've actually started a bunch of other businesses along the way. Well, five. This is my fifth business. So if you're interested, we can talk about that later too.
Okay, cool. So how did you transition? Did you know anything about development or software or payment processing, or how did you kind of like scale that mountain?
Yeah, so I've actually been a computer programmer. I went to university to study computer programming, and I dropped out from my third year at university. And I've been familiar with computer programming myself, so that really helped me a lot in as far as building other systems in place. You have to choose the CRM. You had to choose the telephone system. You had to choose even a simple email system. For all of that, if you know at least basic ways of programming, it helps you automate things. Credit card processing, I didn't know anything about. So that's why, and as a business owner, you don't really have time to read 45 pages of the latest interchange guide from Visa. Right. So you really have no clue. You're just like, okay, this is a bank. I trust my bank, and I'm just going to go with what they're saying I should be doing. But then later I started thinking more and more about ways to improve it, and like how can I cut my overhead costs, and that's kind of how I came up with this idea of iWallet.
Okay. And so when you came up with the idea of iWallet, what was the original concept?
Yeah, so the original concept was actually something different. I wanted to create a completely different system that would compete with Visa and MasterCard based on ACH. So we have this ACH system, automated clearinghouse in the United States, where it's essentially free. It's subsidized by taxpayers' dollars, and the cost of the transaction at scale is less than a penny. And the idea was to do a QR code payment system similar to what they have in China and India. And we launched it in San Francisco, at the University of San Francisco, with a bunch of students and merchants around the USF. And then after trying it for probably about a year or so, we realized that this is just not going to work. The learning was that um, the habit of using credit cards in the United States is so strong. You see, Chinese and Indian societies, they went from cash directly to mobile, to QR codes. With us, we already had a good enough product. So it was really difficult to change people's habits. And that's when I decided to pivot to the home service industry,
Hmm.
to kind of my own company. I had a company, and I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna do something that is helpful and useful to
Too
my
bad
own
you
company.
couldn't. I'm just like thinking out loud here. Too bad you couldn't have skipped the QR code thing and stolen the tap idea, because tap really is taken off too.
Right, right, right. Tap to pay, if that's what you're referring
Yeah.
to, yeah, yeah. Tap to pay is primarily governed and controlled by Google's and Apple's of the world.
Yeah.
So there was not much innovation that we could do, even though there was a company that I know that actually sold to Apple doing tap to pay successfully. But you could not really scale a big business out of that. What's interesting, that there are many other interesting systems that are taking off now. There is still a lot of innovation in payments, and it might be too much for your listeners or for your viewers to get into the fintech nerdy stuff. But Zelle, for example, is really taking off in the U.S. right now, and then stablecoins. Stripe recently bought a company called Bridge for over $1 billion. So stablecoins are becoming very popular in the U.S. Especially, it's especially relevant when you do international payments. Um, so the new administration now is talking about stablecoins as well. So that could be
I mean,
another.
we've been paying many of our overseas contractors in stablecoin for a couple of years.
That's right. You see, so this is like a natural product market fit, but there is no good solution. There is no easy solution, and there are a lot of things that can be done to improve that. So yeah, lots of interesting things happening, and this is when we thought that crypto is not gonna become mainstream. Right, here we go. We're both, you and me, are using it now.
Hmm.
Even though it's not really Bitcoin, which we all thought it would be, but it's still a crypto.
Yep. Okay. So then, what happened basically to get you to its current iteration of the product, which is now check and payment processing? How did that transform?
Yeah, so we switched to credit card processing and checks processing. Those are kind of the immediate pain points that we had. And then, in addition to checks processing, we've added, credit card processing and a bunch of different combinations of how you can use it. We actually came up with over 15 patents around checks and credit card processing. Some new innovative ways of doing things in the field, specifically for the home service industry, right? We've always thought, well, and we always have requests, well, can you guys do it for the nail salons and this and that? We want to kind of stay in our lane and only do it for the home service industry because it's so vast, right? According to recent Service Titan's S1 filing, it's a $1.5 trillion industry between the U.S. and Canada. So huge TAM, what we call a total addressable
Yeah.
market. And yeah, it started with just doing simply checks and cards. Then we added a remote signature capture. During COVID times, remember, people didn't want to touch things. So essential businesses were still open. So we were still operating. But consumers changed. They didn't want to touch technicians' hardware. They didn't want to touch technicians' tablets or phones. So we added this remote signature capture. And when you're doing this remote signature capture, you can actually add a tip to it. So there's a new way to get tips, which technicians love. A lot of our technicians actually come to me at trade shows and thank me for having this capability now. Some of the guys are making an additional $500 to $1,000 a month just in tips.
Yeah.
Right. There's we joke. There's a tipflation out there. Right. Tips are everywhere. Even self-serving kiosks are now asking for tips.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yet, home service industry does not have it as a norm. Tips are everywhere but the home service industry. But our guys, we as home servicers, we spend a lot of time at homeowners. We build relationships. We provide true service. So why not ask for a tip?
Yeah, we used to do tips when I was running my painting business. We did tips. Yeah,
Yeah.
the guys love it. But also, it's in alignment with providing great customer service. It's not expected, but it's if it's not like you're putting the 25, 28, 35% buttons on the checkout. But it's like, hey, if you're interested, if it was great for you,
give them $20 or something.
Yeah.
Right. And then we also integrated reviews portion with that. So there is now, a review, an easy way to ask customers for reviews. What we found is that most of the businesses now send follow-ups, right? And follow-ups are, not great. For us, when as a consumer, I don't like follow-ups. I don't like when people follow up with me, and then you land on the page, or you give them one answer, and then there's like 10 more answers, right? And you can end up doing this for like half an hour. You have to make it easy, and that's what we've done. We made it easy, and as a result, the conversion rate on reviews, on responses, is much higher, and that's what kind of our fourth product is. That's why some business owners would stop me. So we do a lot of demos. Business owners will reach out to us, and we do like a demo for them, and then they would certain products have different responses. So some people love checks, some love credit card processing, savings, some love reviews, and they would be like, okay, stop right there. I've been looking for this review product for a long time that integrates with payments like that. I'm just going to sign up right here and right now.
So how does that work? So explain it from the customer and technician's perspective as they're closing out a job.
Well, there are two main types of payments in the home service space, right? There is a deposit, and then there is a balance for the payment, part installation or just installation appointment. So let's assume you're doing installation. During the installation process, and I wish I could share my screen. We usually do like a screen share, so it's easier. So maybe we'll do it sometime later with the screen share. But the idea is, once you click on the charge card button, you type in customer's phone number and the amount. Sometimes we have integrations, so there are lots of apps, and that's another thing that we should talk about is integration with lots of apps, because that's a very commonly asked question that people ask. Do you guys integrate with Pinto Growth or like Service Titan or Household Pro and many other apps out there? And we have to make sure it's super easy for technicians to use. And so there is the front end integration where we pass the amount and phone number and potentially invoice number into iWallet. Then we would run the transaction in a PCI compliant way. And then we would do a webhook to their CRM system with the result of the transaction and save it, in their CRM. So yeah, that's how it usually works. And so once you have the phone number and amount, you click charge, and then you type in the card number. You also can do a tap to pay. You were talking about that earlier. We do.
Okay, the clients can do like Apple Pay.
Correct. Yeah, Apple Pay or Google Pay, which is really popular in nowadays. And then customers would get a text message with the link, and they need to click on that link, And that's where you see a tip option. There's a tip option at the top, which is customizable. You can do a percentage base or flat dollar amounts, or you can not do tips at all. Some business owners don't like the tips, so you can just turn it off. And then you sign and click approve. At that point, we send them to a thumbs up, thumbs down page, and which is super easy, right? It's not like 10 questions because it's so easy. Customers respond to that. We also have a number of merchants, a big group that we work with. They ask for the so-called NPS, Net Promoter Score.
Yeah.
Some businesses like to track that. So we have the capability, even though I'm not that big of a fan of NPS because there are 10 choices to choose from. I'd rather do a thumbs up, thumbs down because it has higher conversion rates. But yeah, we have an NPS capability, and then once you have that, it sends them to a Google page or like any other review sites that they have, and that makes it really easy for consumers to add a review.
Okay, no, that makes a lot of sense. And how do you guys compete with Square, for example? Like Square is, they do a ton of payment processing. I think it's been a while since I've used it, but it's pretty good, like user interface and stuff. If you guys were to compete head to head with Square, like what would be your value prop on that?
Yeah, Square, it's funny. Jack Dorsey actually used to be my neighbor in San Francisco, like right across the street from me. I've never met him in person, but I always wanted to. And I've seen him many times. Square is great. I think they have a great product. They have actually a lot of products, right? Something that we don't offer yet. For example, financing, right? Business loans, and many other products. They're a much bigger company and much more developed company. However, we are a smaller company with lower overhead, and as a result, we can offer lower processing fees. Square's fees are usually more expensive than ours, because that's their business model. Our business model is, we like to take less risk because we only work in one industry, and home service industry actually, from the payments perspective, is considered to be one of the safest, one of the lowest risk industries out there. As compared to, let's say, gambling or pharma and casinos, many other industries.
Turning it like in terms of chargebacks and
correct number of chargebacks, right?
Yeah.
And just the trust environment. The fact that there are so many checks written, people don't write checks anymore. They used to write them a lot. Like for your auto repair shop, for example, they used to accept checks. Now they don't. Because that is no longer a high trust environment anymore for some reason. But the home service industry is still a high trust environment, and as a result, we don't have fraud, and we kind of trust our merchants more. And while we have loss reserves, they're not as aggressive as Square's, and because of the lower overhead, we can provide lower services, lower credit card processing fees, and that's how we win business.
And then you said you do check processing for free for your clients. Correct. On top of that. Correct.
Yeah, checks processing has been looked into by other companies, and it's. There are some competitors that offer checks processing out there, and I don't want to name them, but it's not as great as ours. It's not one-sided, right? It's not as quick, and it's definitely not free.
Yeah, makes sense. So that's pretty awesome. I mean, if someone wanted to test it out, do you have like a way to like check out online demos, or like what's the easiest way for people to kind of get a demo and see if iWallet is the right, payment processor, check processing, review solution for them?
Yeah. So the best way to check us out is probably to go to iWallet.com. We have a nice little website. we were able to secure iWallet with double L. And click sign up, and it takes about 15 minutes to sign up, and you can test it out, or you can just watch videos and testimonials. We have a whole bunch of information on our website. Reach out to me. I'm Jim at iWallet.com. I'll be happy to do a demo for you, and to see how much money we can save you. Hopefully, we're coming to Canada soon. We actually have a long list of clients. Every trade show we go to, we have so many Canadians that want our product, and this is like definitely on our things to do, is to go to Canada first. So we're coming to Canada very soon.
Yeah.
In fact, if somebody we're looking for a big client that would say, we want Canadian processing to be working before we move in, and we actually have. I just met one company like that at the Kitchen and Bath show. So it sounds like we're very close to going to Canada.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, most of our clients are around the States anyway. So you're definitely in the right market here. And you said typically guys are doing like 3 crews or more. Do you feel like you are fit for the smaller one-man operations, guys just doing one job at a time as well? Or do you think they should wait until they're a bit bigger?
We're absolutely, we can take care of them as well. Especially, we all started small at some point, right? I was a one-man show at the beginning of my career. So definitely, if you have a growth mindset and you want to be set up for success, iWallet would be a great way to do it. And even for those that just want to simply save money and just have a better system in place, that should work as well. The only downside, I guess, would be for the guys that like to take cash. Our system does not have cash processing capabilities, and
we recommend our guys do everything above board anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty much the answer.
Yeah, I got you. So one thing I do like to do, I did not warn you I was going to do this, but for the people who listen all the way to the end of the podcast, I always like to say, is there something special that you can do for the guys who listen all the way to the end as like a discount or a bonus for testing out iWallet?
Definitely. Let's hook your listeners up. If you're all the way at the 33-minute mark, you're going to get, how about this? For a limited time, let's say until the end of March. If you are a company with 3 or more crews, you're going to get a $500 iWallet credit in processing fees, right? Well, it only applies to the U.S. for now. Sorry.
Sure.
Canadian colleagues. But
so basically like $15,000 of free processing.
Yeah, that's right. Basically, yeah, you're right. But if you're a smaller crew, if you just want like under 3, then we'll give you $200 worth of free processing.
There you go. Worth it to listen to the end.
Right. Yeah. You just made it $500 for this 30-minute investment. But hopefully you actually made a lot more, right? Because in the long term, you're gonna save, especially bigger companies are gonna save tens of thousands of dollars in time and money.
Yep. And we pay a lot in credit card fees. We use Stripe, and for online payments, it's hard. There's not a lot of other companies to compete with Stripe. Especially for online processing with their robust controls and invoicing and whatnot. I wish there was, because they're so expensive. They got a monopoly on the market.
They're great. Yeah, they're one of the best for sure.
Well, it's a great product, but it's an expensive price. No one else will get that unless you run an online business.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on, Jim. It was awesome talking to you. Definitely have you on again. And hopefully we can see you at one of our masterminds soon.
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing you at Mastermind maybe next year. Or would you guys do it once a year?
October, we're going to do one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe the one in October.
Phoenix, close to you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was actually just in Phoenix for another mastermind event for plumbing industry. So yeah, it'll be an easy trip.
Perfect. Okay, sounds good, Jim. Good chatting, man.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. If you want to grow your painting business, go to www.paintergrowth.com or click on the top link in the description. Talk soon.